Hi everybody, welcome to the kitchen. Good morning. We're going to make our Grandma Irby's deviled eggs for her Jehovah's Witness gatherings today for her brown girl dreaming. And my recipe is for 12 hard cooked eggs. Now we did this last year for our month of brown girl dreaming, and we made so many that we handed them out throughout the school and everybody enjoyed them. Now today we're just going to make a small amount, and I thought I actually had a half dozen, 6 eggs, but when I opened up my box of eggs, I found out, I only have 4. So I thought it was going to be some simple math here. I would have, if I had 6, I would just divide by half, but instead I have 4. So now I have to divide by 3, all the other recipe measurements, okay? So, and why do I need to divide by 3? Because 3 times 4 equals 12. So if you see here, there are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 eggs originally in this container, and we only have 1/3 of them left. Okay, so I need to divide all the other ingredients by 3. So we really haven't done any menu math where we're dividing. We did a little bit of menu math where I increased and doubled a recipe. So now this is a good opportunity for us to do a little recipe math, where we're dividing. All right, so in our original recipe, we needed 12 hard-cooked eggs, and now in this recipe, we need 4. So we're gonna divide everything by 4. So we need 4 eggs, and we're gonna divide by 3. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. All right, and if we need a half a cup of mayonnaise and we divide by 3, what do we get? Now this is difficult. Now this is why recipe math can get very difficult. If you have a half a cup of mayonnaise and you divide it by a half, that would be 1/4, okay? Now we're dividing by 1/3. So that's a little difficult. So the best way to do that is to convert the half cup measurement into tablespoons. So how do we do that? Well, how many tablespoons are there in a half cup? Well, I happen to know that there are 4 tablespoons to a 1/4 cup. Okay, so if 4 tablespoons equals a 1/4 cup, how many tablespoons would there be in a half cup? Well, we would double that. So there would be 8 tablespoons in a half cup. Okay, so now that's a little easier to do. So a half a cup of mayonnaise also means 8 tablespoons of mayonnaise. So 8 divided by 3 is 2 2/3, okay? So 2 tablespoons. Now, 2/3 of a tablespoon, what does that equal? Well, I also happen to know that 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. So 2/3 of a tablespoon would equal 2 teaspoons. So our half a cup of mayonnaise divided by 3 ends up being 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons. Large T is the symbol for tablespoon. Lowercase t is for teaspoon. Mayo. All right, now, so that was a little difficult. All right, so first what we did was we converted the half cup into tablespoons. That equals 8. We divided 8 by 3, which is 2.66, or 2 2/3. So 2/3 of a tablespoon equals 2 teaspoons because there are 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon. So our end result is a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise divided by 3 equals 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of mayo. Okay? Now, we have 4 tablespoons of sweet pickle relish. And if we divide that by 3, we're going to get 1.33 or 1 1/3. So we would need 4 tablespoons becomes 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of relish, 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard divided by 3 would equal, so again, 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard divided by 3 equals 0.66 or 2/3 of a teaspoon. So 2/3 of a teaspoon is kind of hard to figure out. We only have a 1/2 and a 1/4 teaspoon measure, so I'm just gonna put down a heaping 1/2 teaspoon of yellow mustard. Heaping, remember, means a little bit more. Heaping mustard. Scant means a little yes, a little less. Heaping means a little more. So we're gonna do a little heaping 1/2 teaspoon, a little more of mustard. And I'm just gonna, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt divided by 1/3, I'm just gonna put a pinch of salt. Our 2 teaspoons of fresh dill, again, because this was 2 teaspoons already, we know the math, so we just need a heaping 1/2 teaspoon of dill. And our 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, again, just like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, I used a pinch. I'm gonna use a pinch of paprika. All right, so now I've done the math for our recipe. We're making it a smaller batch, so we need to divide, and we only have 4 eggs, so we divided by 3, and our recipe is now 4 eggs, 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of mayo, 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon of relish, a 1/2 teaspoon, 1/2 heaping teaspoon of mustard, pinch of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of dill, heaping as well, and a pinch of paprika. So we're gonna start these off, and the best way to do them is to put them in our pan. We're gonna cover it with water about 1 inch above it, and then we're gonna bring it to a rapid rolling boil over high heat. After we do that, we are gonna let it stand for 12 minutes, then we remove the eggs and shock them in an ice bath or very cold water. So again, I'm gonna cover this with cold water, 1 inch over the eggs. And we're gonna put it on high heat. Now they're floating, so if I put this one down, that's about 1 inch over it. And high heat, bring it to a rapid rolling boil, and then let it stand for 12 minutes, and then take them out and shock them in cold water. Okay, so it's come to a rolling boil. I've turned the water off. It'll have to sit for 12 minutes. During that time, though, I'll start getting all the other ingredients ready. So now, unfortunately, I don't have any fresh dill. So what can I do? Well, if I had some dried dill, I could use that. But unfortunately, I also don't have dill in our herb and spice pantry, so that's a little disappointing. But what I did find, though, was I have some scallions. So I'm gonna substitute dill for scallion. Okay, so I'm just gonna, now I only needed a 1/2 teaspoon of dill, which is a small amount. But I'm just gonna chop up this scallion nice and small and save the green maybe on the top as a garnish, and add this to our ingredients for our deviled eggs. Now, that's the type of thing that I want you guys to realize, that when you're in the kitchen, if If you don't have a recipe, if you have a recipe and you don't have all of the ingredients, you need to know what you can substitute. So dill is a flavoring, and a lot of times relish. Sometimes our relish is dill relish and has dill in it. But since what we want to do with the dill is flavor this and give it some interesting taste to it, scallion is in the onion family. And onion, this is like a mild onion, and this will help give it a lot of flavor too. So that's why I'm going to substitute scallion for dill. So I'm just going to cut that up, and here is our mayonnaise, and I need 2 tablespoons of that. I'm going to get everything into our bowl and stir it all together. Okay, so here are all of these ingredients: our mayonnaise, our scallion, kosher salt, mustard, and relish. And I'm going to stir all of that together. Let me get my spatula, and we'll stir this together. And then what we're going to do is we are going to cut the eggs, scoop out the yolk, and add the yolk to this mixture. And then we will put that back into our egg white container. Okay. So now here are our eggs, and I've peeled them. Now just be careful when you're peeling, because you don't want that to happen, okay? You want to try to peel them so that way you don't wreck the egg. Unfortunately, I did wreck that one, but you won't know if I put it that way. And so when I cut it, I'll cut it to save one side. When we do cut, though, we want to cut lengthwise, all right? The long side, and cut it straight down the middle. And you should see beautiful yolk. And you see how there's no gray hue around the yolk? That's because we boiled it properly. So I'm going to remove the yolk, add it to our bowl, and then stir everything together and put it back in. Now I don't want to wreck, so I'm going to be very, very gentle. Actually, I have to stop doing the camera. Okay, so here are the egg white cup holders that I will be putting our filling into. And then here, these I can save and use these for, they just broke and didn't look good, so I can save that for egg white salad. And then we need a fork. Here are all of our yolks. We're gonna smush these up into it with our fork. And also, I have our paprika. We need a pinch of paprika in it as well to go on top. Oh! Okay, well that was a lot more than just a pinch of paprika. Anyhow, I dumped out the excess, but needless to say, it's probably better to put the camera down when I'm trying to measure something, like a pinch. And here we go. We're just gonna squish everything in with our fork, get that all mixed together. All right, so here is our finished mixture. And because I put in more than a pinch of paprika, it does look a little bit red, but it'll have a little kick now because of all that paprika. And we're just gonna take a spoonful, and we're gonna, just like this one, we're gonna drop it right into the center of our egg. Get that in nice. And then here I have some chopped up scallion, and we wanna garnish them. Now originally I wanted to put a sprinkling of paprika on top as well as the garnish, but since I overdosed it, we're just gonna use our chopped up scallion as our garnish, and then they will look pretty. So, there you go. So let me finish the rest of these. Here we go. Here are our finished deviled eggs with scallion on top. We used our mayonnaise, mustard, relish, kosher salt, paprika. Let's go over that again because I changed the measurements. We did 4 eggs, 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of mayo, 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon of relish, a half teaspoon of mustard, pinch of kosher salt, 1 scallion instead of the dill, and it was supposed to be a pinch of paprika with extra to put on top, but since I put in so much by accident, I just didn't sprinkle paprika on the top. So there's our recipe. And again, to remind you, measurements, 4 tablespoons equals 1/4 cup, 8 tablespoons equals a 1/2 cup, 1